Okay, so the other thing I'm just gonna do super quick is I'm gonna share this to my group. The guided ones, we are the guided ones. That was something that came to me. So spirit led, that one. We are the guided ones. And I don't feel called to really need to change the name, even though it was a few years ago. Like, I don't know, it was guided. It still feels guided. Okay, so I'm going to share to a group, the guided ones. We are alive and alive. Mindset all dang day. Tips, tricks, and takeaways for you. Okay. Just make sure that we are streaming. And then I'm going to get started. Okay. Perfect. Yes. Okay. Let's get this party started. Okay. So if you're watching the replay on YouTube, hi, comment below so I can say hello to you. I love YouTube comments. It's fun. I have, I think, like 18 subscribers now. I just started my YouTube back up again. So not that I ever really started it before to start it back up. I've just started it in earnest. It's a great place to post things like this. So there you go. And yabba dabba do. Okay. There's a hell of a lot to cover and also not a lot. Like my whole intention is to demystify mindset, you know, show you where you can break the rules, show you where it's all made up anyway, so make it up for you. And I know that we're all different. So in my former life and current life, I was a school teacher. I still actually work with kids right now. I have a little side hustle of tutoring young readers, and it just literally fills my heart. I love it, and I'm really good at it, and the world needs it, and kids need to learn how to read. And so in all of that, I'm acutely aware that all of us learn differently. We take in information differently. So for some of us, this particular mindset that I teach you may not jive as well as something else. So, we take information in very differently, each of us. And so some of us are feelers, and mindset needs to be a very feeling, emotional process. Some of us are thinkers. It needs to just work up here for a little bit. Some of us are movers. It needs to be like this experiential, like somatic piece where we're moving as we do it. Some of us need all of that, right? So I'm hoping today that I can kind of touch in on all the different places and spaces that exist in you that can really benefit from the practices. Okay. So yesterday I really just unfolded a lot of how I wanted you to think about mindset, like finding a place for it, not just in your life, but in the way that you think about it, in the way that you conceptualize it. Okay. Our brain is beautiful, but it's also very fast, and it needs to have some level of organization, right? Would you like to get in a car and somebody's like, yeah, I'm taking you somewhere. And you're like, cool. And you want to be chill and relaxed, but you're like, how long will it take? Are we stopping for snacks? Like, should I bring, a pillow? Like we do really well when we have structure. That was one of the things that was a huge takeaway with teaching kindergarten, was that children and adults really benefit from structure. Okay, so a mindset practice, when done curated for your unique needs, will give you that unique structure that you need. And so I'm hoping today to kind of touch on that for you. So just so you know, this is, all things are possible from watching this, but this has some limitations in terms of like how far you can take your practice accountability wise. So one of the reasons why mindset, if some of us think about, is like, it doesn't really work, or it doesn't work for me. I mean, hands up, I know I've done this, right? Is because, like anything, mindset needs consistency. Like we wouldn't water a plant once and just be like mad at the plant that it didn't grow, right? And so we're just the same. So we need like that long-term accountability, right? And so just keep that in mind as you're going through. Like one of the things I want you to really have in the back of your mind and think about is, How am I going to take responsibility for ensuring I show up to this? Like, what is it that I need to be able to show up? Okay. So, also, this is something that we will be doing in Heal on a regular basis. We are first going to start with the repair work, which is essential. And I'm going to talk a little bit about why that is, just a tiny bit. But mindset is something that naturally occurs in the process, in the signature process that I do and that I've been honing over the years and continue to improve on. And I can tell you that it works. The work works, but you have to step into it. So that's, my loving invitation to you, is that you need to be the one to step in. So whether that's my next program or something else, is that accountability is hard for us to hold on our own. Okay. So just please, I just want to normalize, like, if you fall off the wagon a few times on certain intentions, that how human of us, right? So people need people. Okay. Yesterday, just to put it into a brief context, yesterday I talked about mindset not as this vacuous space that this sort of separate thing that we do to get, to get to where we're going, right? It's not just gasoline in the car. We have to think of the whole car itself. We have to think of the whole motion and movement and all the parts that make us up. And because that can be overwhelming, like, well, who am I and what am I? It's like, whoa, like that's a question that, could spin your wheels. So let me put it into a structure for you that is so beautiful and simple to think about. One way to look at it is like a medicine wheel, or if that doesn't resonate, like a pie, a circle, if you will, and think of 4 quadrants. And these are the 4 gifts that you've been given when you decided to come down here and enter Earth in this wild and crazy 3D world. Sometimes I wonder, why are we doing this to ourselves? Like, whoa, but here we are. Okay, so we've agreed to come here. And in our coming here, we've been gifted 4 things. We've been gifted lots of things. But just for this conversation, let me just keep it simple. We've got 4 gifts. We have the gift of a body. We have a gift of the body. We judge that gift, right? We have lots of thoughts about what that gift is, but we have a body. We've been gifted a body. So I'm just going to make sure I can see comments here. Whoops. Okay. So we judge that gift, but nonetheless, we have a body. We've been gifted a mind. The mind is wild and crazy, but it is a gift and it's a beautiful thing. And we're going to learn how to work with it a little bit more today. We've also been gifted an emotional body. We've been gifted emotions, feelings, sensations. These are gifts. They are guiding us. They are leading the charge of our spiritual journey. And last but not least, certainly not least, is we've been gifted spirit. It is the essence of who you are. It's the isness of you, is that spiritual component. That's the piece that continues in each lifetime. If multiple lifetimes are true for you. If it's not, that's okay too, because it is what it exists. It's an energy. It's the mystery of you. It's the unknown. It's the unexplainable, but it's the all encompassing you that you are. Okay. So all shadow work that we do is to help allow that self energy, which is spirit in motion, to be the one that guides you. And in order to do that, there's different aspects in healing and repair work in our system, so that the parts of us that have been hurt or are on the lookout for not getting hurt again aren't the ones trying to make decisions for us. That's not their job. Okay, so parts work aside, all this shadow work aside, let's get talking about the mind, right? Because the mind, well, it is beautiful, but it's wild. It's wild. Okay. So I want to put this into like a structure for you to think about, okay? Because if you're like me, or like 99% of the humans, we think a lot, okay? And it helps us to have a way to think about it. So I want you to think of a line, okay? The line can just be in front of you, and that represents time. Okay, now we know time is not linear, and time is also an illusion, and it's made up. So all that's true. And for the purposes of this, I want you to think about time. We orientate ourselves into a place every second. Okay, ideally, we're orientating ourselves into now, into the present, into this moment, right now. Here we are, present. Okay, many of us, most of us, a lot of the time, don't actually live in the present. We're thinking about things that happened, or we're And that's where the depressive feelings come, is from the past, where we're thinking about the future, and then enter the anxiety or the anxiousness. Okay, so we know that there is a line of time. Okay, so in our mindset work, okay, mindset is going to be attending to the present, to the right now, and it's also going to be attending to the future, to that which has not occurred yet. Now, here's the thing about that. I want you to start sinking into the idea that there is no difference between in the now and what's coming next. Okay. Like, yes, I know tomorrow hasn't happened. I know when we think of it this way, but I want you to start imagining that the present you're creating is no different than the present that you're in is no different than the one that you're creating. Okay, so this helps to shape how your mindset practice is going to work best when we receive these teachings. Okay, so you've got that future time, right? Mindset is there to bring the ideal future timeline that you're creating and pull it into the now. Okay, so that's part of what mindset can help do for you. It can help you associate yourself in a better way, in a good way, in the present, right? And it can also help you feel safe, excited, inspired, aligned into the future. Okay, so that's the ideal outcome of what we want mindset to do. In the present mindset, we want to work on a few things. We want to work on it in a way that's going to help our nervous system. Because if the nervous system, which is attached to our emotional body, isn't buying into these newfangled ideas that we're coming up with, like, I am free, like, what, girl? So if our nervous system isn't on board, it's going to be really hard to change our mind about things. Because like I said yesterday, the body wins every time. The body, the body keeps the score. Yeah, the body wins every time. I haven't read that book, but I know it's a good one. Okay. Is this making sense? Yes, no? Can you just drop me a comment? Make sure that I can see comments, because I wasn't able to the other day. So nervous system, that's part of what we're working on with our mindset. So when you're thinking about your mindset practice, when you're thinking about the things that you want to do or journal about or move and dance into, right? We want to make sure that we include the nervous system. And so one really simple, easy way to ensure that we do is to make sure that our mindset practice attends to the actual real human fears that our nervous system is holding. Okay. Mindset is not there to bypass any fears. It's there to actually bring them in to the context of what you're working on and allow them to be real. At least the way I teach it. Okay. We're not re-scripting. We're not just instantly re-scripting things and like hoping for the best. Okay. Because that's painful, because it doesn't really work that well. Like, we have to attend to the real energies in our body, and those are carried by the nervous system on a very physiological level. So we want to encourage and increase our awareness of the nervous system as we do it. And that can also just be simple things like breathing and saying out loud, it's time to do the work. Like, that's a really simple thing that my mentor and I used to do on our calls together. It's like, okay, it's time for the work now. And taking a few breaths, like, literally just allows your nervous system to know that you're safe, and reminding yourself where you actually are. I'm with my mentor, I'm in my office, I don't have anything to do, like really grounding your nervous system into like, hey, we can, like, all of our protectors that are on the lookout for us to not, like, maybe we're not safe, they can all relax back. That's as simple as it is, right? We don't have to do this deep somatic experience before we start our mindset. It's literally just a few breaths and I'm ready to do the work now, or it's time to do the work. Okay. So we have this past, we have this present, and we have this future. And again, our mindset wants to support our present, and it wants to ensure that we feel safe and inspired to create the future. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the past and what you want to attend to there. And then I'm going to talk about the future stuff, because that's going to, the future pieces that I'm going to be talking about on your timeline, that's what is going to lead into me talking about some of the processes that we're going to do. Okay, so here we go. When it comes to the past, so we all have a past. This is what I said yesterday, is like, we've come from somewhere. We've come from somewhere. We didn't just like arrive out of a vacuous space and like, here we are, right? Energy can neither be created nor destroyed. Like we are. We have been and we are. And this is a bit of a like a doozy on the mind, but here we are. Okay, so we've come from somewhere. You've come from somewhere, right? We can even talk about it as a blood lineage of ancestry. You've come from somewhere. You've come from a collection of other souls that came into the same family line as you. So you've come from somewhere. Okay, got it. Because you've come from somewhere, you bring things with you. You bring a collection of generational experiences. And for some of us, a lot of the generational awareness we have is trauma, right? There's a reason why, you know, it's in the zeitgeist of like breaking generational trauma bonds or generational ties or like doing healing for our ancestors. There's a reason why all that's coming forward in a way that makes sense to people. Had you have said this like 30 years ago, people would be like, right? I don't know who I mean by people, but just it wouldn't be received. So there's a reason why there's an attending to the shadow work that's required, because in no other time in history has it ever been more palpable, this like need for us to do the work. Okay, so the past is important to attend to, and that's where shadow work comes in. That's where healing work comes in. That's where like a huge percentage of what I do is attends to that, for a very good reason, not to just rehash the past, not to just do healing just because it's a good idea, but because for your mindset work, for your present situation, for your future visioning, for the actions you want to take, for the alignment you want to have, for the strategies in your business you want to implement, for the money mindset you want to have, like all this stuff that you want to create for yourself, that we all want to create for ourselves, which is our birthright to create. But all of those things are going to be in relationship to where you're coming from. Okay. Doesn't mean it automatically slows you down. In fact, I'm going to show you how there's a way to use your past experiences to help you actually better your current. So just know that the past is the shadow work. Okay. The past is the repair work, so that there's a buy-in on your system for these new ideas that you're going to implement, right? Because if you had the mindset that you know you want to have for the places you want to be in your life, it would be occurring right now. Chances are it already is. So I'm going to teach you how to do that. Okay, so that's the past. Cool. Okay. I have nobody responding on my Zoom, like nobody can respond. So I'm just assuming cool. Because I've decided that my people are going to go cool, and you're going to be nodding your head as I say this. And if you don't, that's okay. It doesn't mean anything about me. Speaking of, in the shower, don't all great ideas come in the shower? Why is that, do you think? Yeah, in the shower, I had got, oh my gosh, how did I not put this in my notes for today's masterclass around this one big piece? So I'm going to say it really quickly, and I swear it's really quick because I usually like, oh, it's quick. And like 20 minutes later, okay. One of the biggest pieces around mindset, or at least when you're thinking about mindset, when you're thinking about how you think, okay, is that we want to get specific and we want to get clear and we want to get honest about the meaning that we're making over the thoughts we have, the feelings we have, the fears we have, right? Because the meaning that we make out of what we're experiencing, first of all, creates the experience and then creates the next experience. And more than anything, it establishes our own sense of who we are, our own identity. And how you see yourself and the kind of person you see yourself as is like, that's the thing. That's the number one thing that makes the choices for you, determines, discerns, takes risks or doesn't take risks, talks yourself out of things that you know are meant for you and you want. So if you don't see yourself as that, that's a huge piece to take into consideration. That's part of why we do the repair work. That's why we do identity work first in my process, so that we can actually see where the gaps are, for lack of better words, the places in your own self-identity that need tending to, because everybody has a place they need tending to in their own sense of who they are. Okay, so if you don't see yourself as a motivated person, you can say I'm motivated all day on your journal, but there's so much more that needs to be attended to. So that's why we do the identity work. And then we do the repair work that shows up those gaps I was talking about. Then we repair those gaps. Now we move to mindset, and that's where it sticks. And it's probably one of my favorite places in my process with my clients, because it's where all the magic happens. It's where things are manifested. It's where what you're looking to create suddenly arises, right? And so mindset is a part of all of this, right? It's a part of the puzzle. Okay, let me just lay down some of the exercises you can do, some of the takeaways I want you to have. So there's all the context. You know, I'm not just going to come in here and give you hacks and tips and tricks without context, right? Because speaking of context, our brain, one of the things that I learned in teaching and as a teacher is that when you're going to do something new, and this can be true for like your mindset of like having a new belief, right? Or doing something you've never done, like joining a gym if you've never joined a gym, or like doing a live for the first time if you've never done it. Okay. Is that one of the best things we can do for ourselves is access our prior knowledge. In other words, like, even though something can feel scary to do the first time, chances are somewhere in the file of your past experiences is something like that, something like that. So the mind is constantly looking for patterns. Okay. It's looking for familiarity. It's looking for patterns. It's looking for like and like. Okay. It doesn't like when things are too opposingly different. Okay. It's looking for patterns, and it operates that way. That's why a really good mindset for you, a practice for you that you consistently do, is going to help to disrupt patterns that you really need to disrupt in order to sort of become that version of you that is your birthright to become. So a lot of it is pattern disruption. Okay. Yeah. So there we go. Okay. Here's a couple of little do's you can do. So I've lined this up into 4 different steps you can take. And it sounds like a lot, but each of them are very easy and they can be done on their own. So you could do like step 1 for a whole week if you want. Okay. By the way, anything that I'm showing you, telling you, teaching you, anything I say, that these are all things that I've embodied over the years. Okay. So I'm not just coming on here like, oh, this looked cool, I'll just tell them to do that. Like, these are things that work. They work. Okay. If you do them, but you have to do them. So do this one. So let's start with an easy one. The easiest one is, especially for my overthinkers out there, the ones that are, having 60 thoughts happening at once. By the way, if you feel overwhelmed, it just means there's too many cooks in the kitchen. It means you have too many parts activated. Okay. You'll learn about that if we work together, and how to kind of de-escalate. That's actually really, really easy. It's so easy. You're like, what? No, that's it. That's like, it's that easy. Okay. But I'm not going to get on that tangent. Number 1, just dump it out. Just do a brain dump. Okay. Just do a brain dump. Get out your piece of paper, get out your pen, put on like a 3-minute timer on your phone, or a YouTube for 3-minute song. I don't care what it is. Time yourself and just dump it all out. All the thoughts, the fears, the feelings, the sensations, the concerns, the worries, the desires, like, put it all down. Put it all down. Dump it all out. Could be a page, could be 5 pages. Get it all down. Time yourself. Okay. Then I want you to go through, and I want you so I'm giving you lots of specifics here. So if you're like, oh shit, I should write this down, like, you can watch the replay, you can write it all down. I'll make it simple. Brain dump it. You're going to go through each statement and you're going to say them out loud. You're not going to read them. You're going to say it out loud. The reason for that is, this is part of why I use quantum healing in my work. It's energy work. There is something very visceral that happens. This is going to bring your mind and your body together when you read out your own thoughts, out loud. So I know this to be true for me in my own work, and I know this to be true for clients, because they'll say things and I'm like, oh, as I say that, like, that's just not true anymore. I'm like, cool. Now you know it's not in your system. Now you know it's unhooked itself from that like deep cording it has, right? So you're going to say them out loud. Don't skip this step. Don't be like, oh, she said say it out loud, but I'll just read it. No, don't do that. Say it out loud. Even better, read it to somebody that you trust. Okay. And they're just there to listen. So they're not there to give you feedback, no support. Just they're there to listen if you want to do it that way. Okay. Brain dump it, say it out loud. You're going to go through each one that you say, and you're either going to say it's true. Like when I say this, it feels true. Okay. Like, I'm afraid to speak in front of 10,000 people. I don't know, like I'm just making something up here. And so you're going to decide, in your own energetic being, you're going to start listening and trusting yourself and guiding yourself. Is it true? Is it somewhat true? Or is it not true? What that's doing is it's calibrating it on a scale. It's specifying how sort of deep the hook is a little, if for lack of better words, like how hooked in is it? If it's so true and you're writing about a fear, chances are that one's tied to, in parts work, what's called an exile. What it means in shadow work is basically often a really young version of you that got really super hurt. This part of you hasn't really been tended to or acknowledged or witnessed or healed. And so it's not something mindset's going to really help you with right away. So that's why we do the repair work and like loosen the grip a little bit, unhook it a bit. And then we can start talking about how it isn't true anymore and how you're willing to believe something else, how you feel safe speaking in front of 10,000 people, how you're excited, how you can't wait. So all that's possible. But again, that repair work. So you're going to go through what's true, what's somewhat true, what's not true at all. Like as you read it, you're like, oh yeah, I thought that was a thing. But when I read it, I'm like, yeah, no, that's not for me. Okay. A lot of healing work is like, not for me, not for me, not for me, not for me. And you start to take yourself out of the illusion that this world really is, right? It's all made up shit. We're making this up. Even I'm making this up. I'm like, how would I put this into a practice? And, years ago, sitting there like, what would I do? Step one, step two, like we're just using information we have and making the best decisions from there. Okay. So you're going to brain dump it and you're going to assess the energetic frequency of each thought. Okay. Next, you're going to do the also and, which I talked about yesterday. So part of the possible downfall of mindset is that you're going to try to use it to step over things that you actually need to attend to. Okay, so it's like a bypassy thing. We don't want to bypass things. Okay, so we don't use mindset to try and re-script something that actually needs some shadow work. Okay. So one way to start to loosen things and open your system up, right? Like that's the whole thing about mindset is it's there to help the mind, but it's also there to open the energetic body and the heart to a place of willingness. I'm willing to see it different. I'm willing to be different. I'm willing to see myself differently. I'm willing to believe something else is true. So that willingness, one way to nurture your own willingness, and believe me, this is a game changer. I can't stress this enough. It's a game changer. Okay, it's the difference between clamming up and relaxing. And I'm sure you would like to lead yourself, for the most part, in a relaxed state. Doesn't mean you're not going to clam up. Even I clam up. Are you kidding me? I totally tap out of life once in a while. Like, it totally happens, right? So this number 2 will help with that, with the holding of the multiplicity of emotions and feelings, because you're never just one thing. Okay. So this is the also and. So this is where some of the things that are, remember when I said you're going to brain dump and then you're going to go through and see what feels really true, like a fear feels really true. Like, oh, I can't unhook myself from that. I won't change my mind on that. Those like resistant pieces. You're going to take just one of those. Just take one. You're just going to take one of those and you're going to allow it. Okay. It's there. It's hooked in, doesn't want to change. It's too resistant. It's immobile. Totally fine. Let's let it be that. Give it permission, right? It's no, like, let yourself have the no. Let yourself have a no. Okay. That's your sovereign right to say no. So allow the resistance, right? And even just that, do you see what just happens? Just let it be there. Again, this is like how we feel toward the different aspects of us are going to make a big difference to how we deal with it. Okay. Yep, it's there. I'm afraid. Okay. So even though whatever you wrote down, I'm afraid to speak in front of 10,000 people, even though I'm afraid to be seen by too many people that I don't know, like even though I'm afraid to be seen, I also And this is where you can put a gentle rescripting. And this can be something that you wish were true, even though maybe it's not yet. Just something else that's going to help balance that a little bit. Okay. So it could be something like, even though I'm afraid to speak in front of 10,000 people, I'm excited to speak in front of 1,000, or I'm excited to do a live on my Facebook, or I'm excited to start getting there. Okay. So this offers an opening and this accepts where the close is. Okay. So we need an also and. Okay. So there's that. There's so much I can say about the also and, because that's like a whole teaching, but I'm going to leave it there. To make this also and even like juicier, sexier, vibrationally, like frequency wise, even more evolved, if you will, is now we can start to do that. Remember I said we're going to talk about the future, and we're going to actually work with our perception of the future in our mindset. And that's going to help create the experiences in the now. Okay. So we're going to start doing evidence banking. Okay. So evidence banking is a very, okay. I don't explicitly call it evidence banking with my clients. Okay. I just have, but I'm going to give it a name here because I think we need names. So it's evidence banking. It's banking evidence to prove a new belief is possible, true, and already here. Okay. So it's evidence banking is using current evidence around what's happening and the things that have happened in the past to prove the belief you want to have is actually true. Okay. So that kind of helps hold that also and that new opening. It like really like ramps it up. And what you'll notice is that this just doesn't feel so prominent anymore. Like that fear, that the piece that was like unhookable starts to relax back. And then there you go. Okay. So you're going to be using part of the past to build evidence for what you want to have more of in the future. So let me give you an example. Let's say, so I'm going to just give like a really clear example. Let's say you're going to make a change in your life, and part of that change is a fear around the unknown. So if I change this, if I take this next step, I don't actually know if it's going to work. I don't know if I can handle it. I don't know if I'm going to get overwhelmed. I don't know if I'm going to burn out. Like we start to in the I don't know. Like there's no proof that it's going to work. So first of all, there's no proof anything's ever going to like work. So there's that. So, but these are real thoughts that you're having, right? So what you're going to do is you're going to use evidence from the past or that matches that like versus like. So what are your fears? Your fears are not being able to handle something that you didn't know the outcome to, right? So you're going to go back in your little evidence bank of the ways in your life that you actually did do that. Okay, so a really quick example that I've used, that I continue to use, is I had my babies. I birthed my babies. I had one at home and one in the hospital. And both births were great. Like I feel a little guilty saying that I had such great births, but I'm going to own that. I had wonderful births. Okay. Doesn't mean they weren't hard. It doesn't mean it didn't hurt, but like all in all, it was a good experience. So I can use that as evidence around, I didn't know the outcome. I trusted myself, because isn't that what it's about for you? Trusting yourself. That's what the fear of the outcomes is about, trusting yourself. And more to that point, it's about trusting life itself. Do you trust the process of life? I'm not saying it's a yes or no. There's areas where you do and areas where we don't. That's okay. That's really what it's about. That's what trust is. Do I trust the process of life? Okay. So I would use that evidence as like, actually, I have done something hard without knowing the outcome. I knew what to do at the time. I led myself through. I used my past tools to like help me, and I can do it again. So it can sound something like, I've done this before and I can do this again here. Okay, so you're using past evidence to prove how you're capable in the now, right? And that helps to build trust. Is this making sense? Yes, no, maybe so. Y'all are quiet. I got comments yesterday. I'm not getting comments today. Not that I need them or anything. It doesn't, I'm not making it mean anything. I'm just also hoping that the comment section is working, because it wasn't before. Oh, see, now the comments are showing up. I'm just confused. Madeline, hello. Hi, Amy. Hi, Madeline. Okay, fabulous. And yes, actually, Madeline, you were on my mind because I was going to reach out to you and see if you had seen yesterday. Okay, so it's all self-inquiry. That's really what healing is about. That's what living a fulfilling life is really understanding yourself and knowing yourself, and then allowing and feeling safe for that expression to be out in the world. So let me just like wrap up the last thing that I said. And if you have any questions, I would love to answer them. If you have questions about Heal, the program that is coming after, it starts soon. It starts on the 25th. If you're thinking about it and you just don't know yet, just reach out and we'll figure it out. Okay, so number one, brain dump and decide which one feels really, really like locked in and like I'm not changing my mind. That's so super true right now. And then somewhat true, like could go both ways, or just, yeah, no, that's actually not a thing when I write it down. I'm actually not afraid of that. Okay, and then you're going to do the also and practice. Even though I'm afraid of this, I'm also, okay, and that's where you're going to find something else that you also are, because you're not just afraid of this, you're excited about aspects of it. Okay, and then from there you're going to do your evidence banking. You're going to bank your evidence about ways that you have accomplished that, gotten over that fear, did that scary thing, made that change. You're going to go back and you're going to write evidence about from your past in ways that you have done that. And I want you to dig deep here. And I'm going to be like hardcore mommy right now. Don't give me the BS that you can't think of anything, because that's not true. I won't buy it. I won't buy that. Dig deep, dig deep. Okay. I mean, if you can't think of anything, like I have like a push in me and I know when to use it. And this is often a place where I'm like, no, dig deep. I'll sit here with you while you feel into it, but dig deep. And I'll sit here as long as it takes you, because I don't believe you've never done anything brave or courageous or hard in your life. We all have. Okay. So if you are a journaler, here's a couple of quick prompts for you and I'll wrap it up here. Unless, thank you, Madeline. It is making sense. Excellent, excellent. I love that. I love that. Okay. If you're a journaler, here you go. So some of these words you may not know what they mean. So I'll give you a little like, I'll give you a bit on what they are. So this is the easy one. This is literally like I swamp, I brag, I am. Okay, that's it. It's 3 sections. I swamp, I brag, I am. So I'm taking these words from like the coaching industry and places I've seen them used. There's other words I may put into them. Okay, so I swamp is like, here's the messy underbelly of what's happening inside of me. Okay, so it may be places where you feel shame, embarrassment, anger, frustration, not enoughness, too muchness, fear. The swamp is like, this is where I perceive my mucky, murky human is. So I swamp is like, I don't want to get out of bed today. I swamp, I just want to can turn off my phone and disassociate from the world for a while. I swamp, I want to give up. I swamp, I feel like a total bag of bags. I swamp, I feel like I don't know what I'm doing in my life. I swamp, I feel like everybody out there in the world knows what they're doing and I have no freaking clue and I don't know how to adult. I swamp, I'm so mad at myself for like, so it's revealing the underbelly, okay? And it's just you and your journal. You're just swamp, you're just saying what the swamp is, okay? It could also be I'm owning that, or I'm revealing that, or I'm calling myself out on, but I just find I swamp. It just seems to make sense. Okay, so that's what you're going to do first. Then you're going to just let that be. Just you're not fixing any of it. Okay, that's the cool part about this one is there's nothing to fix about your underbelly. It's just an underbelly. Everybody has one. Okay, we're not fixing anything in this one. Okay, and then it's I brag. Okay, now for many of us, for some of y'all that are following me, you know what I mean when I say I brag, because you're in different communities and you've had different learnings about what bragging is, okay? And for those that aren't familiar with it, it may feel edgy, especially as women, and never mind like all the different nuances about what being a woman means. It's like we're kind of like pushed, like don't be too big for your britches, isn't that one, right? Or like, don't be too braggy, right? Don't be too much. Don't outshine everybody because you'll make other people feel bad or less than, or like it's too boasty. It's too boasty. It's too cocky. And that's a really feminine, that's a big one for those that embody the feminine body and mind. So just know that it may feel weird and do it anyway. Okay, so this is a place where you may want to dig deep. And bragging has no limitations to what you can brag about. No limitations. Okay, so you can even brag your swamp. Like I brag, I feel like a bag of bags and I'm showing up anyways. Bragging is something that elicits a state change, just so you know. So part of like mindset or any practice is changing our state. Okay, so the state is like the way I'm thinking and the way I'm feeling is the simplest way to put it. It's where my focus is. So let's say you're driving on a road and you're driving, you're just focusing on the road, and all of a sudden, like a small child on their bike comes and starts to like go in front of you. That's going to change your state. It's going to change where you're focused and what you're doing because now something else has come in. Okay. So being able to change your state is a really superb skill to have. And this is what mindset practice can help you with. So bragging will help change your state. There's no limitations. It can be simple as like, I brag, I made awesome coffee this morning, which I did. You know, I brag, I went to the shop and I picked up things that I needed to have for my lunch. And then I promptly got home and forgot cream for my coffee. And I didn't make it mean anything about me. That's a brag. Because like maybe in the past I'd be like, oh, Leanna, write shit down, get it together. Like, you know, but like I brag, I didn't do that. That's a brag. So you're bragging anything. Okay. This is like lifting yourself up. This is a form of like self-love. Okay. Okay. Then after I swamp, I brag. Now you're going to do the claiming of who you really are. Okay. We wear masks a lot of the time. We pretend, we flex, we bend, we shift ourselves to be more palpable for other people. And there's nothing wrong with that because we're all going to do it. It's not all bad, right? We do want to like have ability to energetically match somebody, right? Like if somebody's in a big state of grief, like we're not going to come in there like a cheerleader. Okay. So like energetically matching other people is beautiful, but trying to change who you are so that you think somebody will like you is where it can become toxic. Like it can for us, right? Because it's devaluing, it's betraying our truth. Okay, so we don't want to do that. Be courageous enough to be who you really are. Period. Be courageous enough to be you. Okay. Then you're going to end with the I am statements. Okay, the reason for that is all the healing, all the work, all the mindset, all the physical, blah, 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 the whole way that you are. Huge component is who you believe you are, how you see yourself, the kind of person you think you are. Okay, that's why we want to like release all the past conditioning and all the healing so that we can get rid of shit that's not ours. Do you think that you're lazy in some areas? There's no such thing as lazy. There's no such thing as, it's just who you are. It's just you are who you are, and we take on all these ideas of who we aren't. Okay, and when I say you are what you are, it's not meant to be like it's a piece that can never change. The whole thing is that you're constantly changing. Okay, so you're going to do the I am. This is where you're going to include qualities around like I am courageous, I am curious, I am confident, I am, and you're going to start to name all of these you aspects of who you really are. I am brave, I am compassionate, I am a good person, right? I am responsible, right? And so you're just claiming who you are. You can also take it into aligned action you're taking. Okay, so like, I am consistent more and more. I am getting visible more and more. And so these are also like things that you are now. And then you can also future pace any of this, right? Like, let's say one of your goals is, you know, again, I'm going to use like, oh, I know I have this like, oh, thing. Sorry, but I was just about to like make it this like cliche 10K months that in the coaching industry is this like golden step y'all want to take. Again, there's nothing wrong with make more money. That's on my list this year. Hella yes, make it all. But it's just the one that I like take to. So like let's say you want to have more clients, let's say, okay, or like you want to sell some, like you want to sell a product. Like I've sold, 50 orders every week. 50 orders comes in. So like I am filling out 50 orders a week. I am selling 50 orders a week. Like so that, like, that's what I mean. You can future pace the things that you want and plot them into the now with the I am. And then you can talk about how it feels to do that and how easy it is and how this is your new normal. Okay. That's a lot. I'm going to wrap it up here. Heal is coming. And when I say it's coming, I mean, it's like, hey, get ready. It's like, no, it's happening. Like the 25th, it starts. Okay. It's happening. I have payment plans available. Okay. So if one of your concerns is about money, like don't make it about that, because we can have a conversation and make it work. Okay. If the concern is like, I don't really know what we're going to be doing, then first of all, I better up my game with my messaging and clarify. If you aren't sure if it's for where you are in your journey and what you're looking for, chances are, yes, it is, because this is non-negotiable work. Whether you're on in the online space coaching or starting your business, or whether you're a human out in the world humaning and you want to get better at that. Okay. So this is like, this kind of work is a non-negotiable as far as I'm concerned. Whether you do it with me, that's a different point. Okay. Obviously I'd love you to do it with me because I'm pretty good at it, but like, it's non-negotiable work. Okay. So this work is always for you. It's always the right time. I really want you to like embody that. There's always the right time for this work, because this work is part of every successful person that you look toward and see them in their level of success that you perceive. We don't know what's happening behind the scenes, but I guarantee you this is the type of work they're doing. Guarantee. I will like put all my money down on that. Okay. So it's always the right time. It's always got a place, and it always has a purpose, and it always has an ROI. Okay. Okay. Questions. I feel like I've answered a lot here. I'll put the link in. The link is all over the place. It's just leannajaneyoga.com for the heal. But if you just want to skip the sales page and just like have a quick chat in the DMs, like I can totally do that with you. I'm not a big sales page person, because I just want to like talk to somebody and get my questions answered and like be done with it and like make my decision. You know what I mean? And chances are, if I'm going to do that, I'm already a yes. There's just some particulars that I need to know. So that may be your case, and we can just handle that today. Happy Friday. I love you all. And that's it. Go have a great Friday and change your mind today. And we'll talk soon. Okay, bye.